Well, hello, I'm Dr. Julia Royston, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Super excited for all of you who are going to be joining us today, as well as those who are going to be on the replay. And we're just going to have a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I am ecstatic, over the top excited. We've been talking about it, we've been promoting it, sent it out to my email list 2 or 3 times. And so I'm thankful and appreciative for everybody who's going to join in and those who are going to listen in later. Now, you're going to basically be listening in at a conversation with 3 publishers. Now, we do a variety of things, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves in just a moment. But we do, as they say, we do a multiplicity of things. God has gifted us to do multiple things. And so, but tonight we're going to primarily focus on publishing. And I have had people, I have to be totally transparent, that I've had people who have done pieces and parts of the publishing journey. Me, when people come to me, I tell you I do it all from the front to the back, help you write, everything in between. But there are people who do parts of it and bits and pieces of it that say, I don't know what I'm doing, Julia, and I'm not ready to call myself a publisher. But I don't really know what I'm doing. So in the first of 3 Book Business Moss panels that I'm really excited about having this year. I wanted to start off with something that's been near and dear to my heart for 16 years. I'm running to in February 2025. It'll be 17 years. Just saying that just does something to my whole body. Knowing that I have been in this game that long. And so I am super excited. Y'all know where to find me. I'm on all social media, BK Royston Publishing, Royal Media and Publishing, and of course, the Book Business Boss Consulting, where we're helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. Now, right off the bat, I got a free gift for you. And so y'all just get ready because you probably going to get offers all night because I don't play. I don't let people come on my platform without even offering something or getting access to them. So it's not like I'm the only one offering something. Don't you worry. You'll be able to find these other 2 ladies to be able to work with them and have a great thing. But my free download is Be a Book Business Boss. That's a free ebook download of my book, From Author to Entrepreneur. I think that's my first nugget, that you really, once you publish a book, once you write a book, you got to have to change your mindset to be in the book business. If you're going to publish or even just as an author, you got to move your mind from being just an author to business and entrepreneurship. So that's my first nugget. Let me introduce my guest and let's go on. We'll move along because we got a lot to talk about. Yay! All righty. So first up, my good friend that you've seen online with me many, 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 many times. I want her to properly introduce herself, Miss Vanessa Collins, and take it away, love.
Hey, Julia, thank you so much for getting this party together. My name is Vanessa Collins. I am a writing and publishing coach, a certified digital marketing strategist, and I help aspiring writers and entrepreneurs and authors make more money with their books. I have been on this journey, as Julia said, for 15 years. And I am just excited to have this conversation because there's some stuff going on in the publishing world, and we need to talk about it. We got to have a conversation because there's some stuff going on.
You best believe it. You best believe it. Please go to VanessaCollinsLLC.com and find her on all social media platforms. She's everywhere you want to be. This is the digital marketing queen. And so be sure and follow her, like, share, comment, all that good stuff, and be enriched by all that she has to offer. We're going to move right along. Dr. Rhonda Lawson, take it away, love.
Good evening. This is your girl, Dr. Rhonda M. Lawson. I am the founder, owner, and president of Meet the World Image Solutions. This is a publicity and literary services company. And what I do is I support aspiring authors as well as business owners. And when it comes to business owners, I'd say that every business owner needs a book because and as something else I say is pick brains, don't pay bills. And if you are a business owner, you are often asked, can I pick your brain for this? Can I pick your brain for that? And so what I tell people is why not take all of that knowledge and put it in a book? You sell that book for $9, $10, $15, or what have you. And now when people come asking you for information, that because they're going to ask you for that information for free because they're going to accuse you of being a gatekeeper if you don't give them the information. You can tell them, I wrote a book on that very subject, and you can establish yourself as an expert in your industry while at the same time making money for your business. So that's what I do to help business owners. But what I did is I consider myself a newbie. Only I've been in the industry for 20 years, but as an author. And then later on, I became a book publicist. Help information, or excuse me, publicity and exposure for their books and their businesses. But then I had so many people who were coming to me asking for help with. I started a done for you publishing company. Now, what the done for you publishing company means is that for one flat price, I will get you a cover. I will get you an ISBN. I will do everything for you, and then I will turn the keys over to you. And now it is your responsibility to promote your book and to sell your book and do everything you need with the book. But I'm that person who knows that everybody can't do everything. So if you want me to do it for you, I will do it for you, and then turn the keys over to you so you can be a published author without all of the things, all of the unfun things, all of the unsexy things that go along with becoming a published author. That's what I do for you. So you can find me at www.mtwimagesolutions.com. And if you visit my website, I do have a freebie as well. There's a pop-up as soon as you go to the site that will offer you an author success guide. And it gives you some tips on first of all, refining your book, but at the same time, it also gives you tips on free, affordable, and premium ways to market your book. So you definitely want to get that book and become a part of the MTW family, and then learn a little bit more about what we get started. So I'll leave it at that. I do a lot more stuff, but I don't want to take over everything. So we'll talk about it as the time goes along.
Thank you very much. Go to mtwimagesolutions.com. That's M as in Mary, T as in Tom, W as in Wanda, image with one solution. So that's MTW Image Solutions with an S on the end.com. So of course, my first question is, how did you publish your first book? How did you publish your first book? Well, me, I didn't know anything about it, even though I've been a librarian for 30 years and saw my share of books. Lord have mercy, thousands and thousands of books on the multiple libraries where I worked. But I was in Indiana. So this is 2007, and I published because God said it was time to. That I really, that's the why of why I did it. I had notebooks just like everybody else, Spiral, that 80 count Spiral notebooks. I've been writing these writings in, but I realized they rhymed. Oh, okay. So I didn't set out to write poetry. No, I did not set out to do that. It was just a healing process, very therapeutic, very healing for me. And so I was writing them, had been carrying these notebooks, moving from state to state and city to city. And then 2007, I married Brian Royston in 2006. 2007, God said, it's time to put that book together. So I went online, did my homework. They're not paying me to talk about them, but it was Author House, and I'll just say it. And I didn't like the process. I didn't like it. I basically did everything. And for those who are on the video, I got it handy. This is my first book I ever published, ever. And it still has the Author House logo on the back. And I didn't like the process. And then I went to coffee with an acquaintance, and she said, it's time for you to start your own company. I was like, she said, how many books you think you're going to write? I said, maybe 2 or 3. I'm not even gonna tell y'all how many. Oh well, no. Okay, Vanessa Collins is giving me that eye. So
Because I'll
let
tell
me
it.
just.
I'll tell it.
I know you
I'll tell
will. I
it.
know you will. So, I turned in book 100 on Tuesday. 100. Yeah, I know it's kind of scared me and very emotional as well. Yeah. I know. I was gonna wait a little longer, but I told my friend, and then she's like, "Yes, you are." I'm like, "Well, I maybe I'll do an announcement another time." Okay, I guess that announcement came today. So I turned in a number 100 to the editor. So I've written actually 100. I've co-authored with 9, and then I've done all kinds of journals and stuff. That's like 13. So in my catalog, it's like 122. So yeah, that's a catalog right there. That's a store.
Yes, it
That's
is.
a
Yes, it
store.
is.
So, but I didn't set out to do that. I didn't start out like that. It's like the writing bug hit me and bit me, and that's really how I got started. Vanessa, how'd you start?
Well, I'd always wanted to write a book. I was pastor of a women's ministry, and all of my Bible studies, I would type them up and said one day I was going to write a book. Well, when I left corporate America in 1999, looked into publishing, and that was before on demand publishing stuff. And these folks told me it was going to be $5,000 to publish my book. So I said, okay, cool. I'm going to save up $5,000. Well, when you are newly married, 2 young kids, just left your corporate job, it is not like an extra $5,000 just happens to find their way into your hands. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait for the tax refund, right? And of course, there's a whole lot of bills lining up at that time, waiting for the refund. So it didn't happen. And then one day I was doing some research on another subject, found a book that was written. I think the book was written about 10 years before. So this is like 2008. And I think the book was written in, I don't know, 1998, whatever 10 years would have been. So I went and ordered the book, and it said it would be shipped as soon as it was printed. And I'm like, this book is 10 years old. What do you mean it'll be shipped when it was printed? So I did some little research to see, okay, what site am I on? Because I wasn't on Amazon. And this thing had lulu.com / something, 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 something. I said, let me check out what this lulu.com is. And it was like a lightning bolt hit. I was like, wait, I can publish my book for free on lulu.com. I uploaded the book. I didn't lay it out. I didn't do anything. I took my Word document and uploaded it. And it was like, okay, yep, you can publish this book and it'll cost, and at that point, it was like $9 per book. I was like, oh, let me go and lay this out the right way. Let me go see what this really will look like. And that is how I published my first book.
Yeah, yeah. Dr. Lawson, how'd you publish first?
Well, my process was a little interesting. So I published my first book while I was in the military, and I was stationed in Egypt, believe it or not. I knew I wanted to start writing. Well, I had been writing for years, but I knew I finally wanted to publish my book when I was still stationed in the United States. But I didn't know the process. I had just joined. At that time, we had listservs. We didn't have Facebook and all that.
Right,
Um, we
right.
we had listservs, so we would email. I met a lot of authors that way, and there's still some authors that I'm still in touch with to this very day that I met in these listservs. And so when I got to Egypt, which was in 2003. I was still in these listservs, still trying to learn the business, still networking. And one of the authors sent an announcement about a company that was looking for new authors. And I clicked on the link. I was like, hey, I'm not published yet. I want to get published. So I clicked on the link, and it was a white company. And I was like, you think they're going to take black authors? I emailed the friend who put it on there and said, you think they want black authors? She said, you never know until you try. So I emailed them and I sent a sample of my manuscript. And it just so happened right before all of this happened that somebody very close to me in the military was killed in Iraq. And it really broke my heart. And but all I could picture was that he was doing everything that he wanted to do. And I had to ask myself, okay, am I doing everything that I wanted to do in life? And so when I asked myself that question, I said I was going to get out there and I was going to send my book to as many agents as I could. I was going to find a publishing company. And it just so happened that this company kind of fell into my lap. So I reached out to the company. I sent them a sample of my manuscript. And then a few weeks later, I got an email, and the subject of the email said, "Welcome to Jada Press." And I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm about to be published." And believe it or not, I don't even know if they really charged me. I don't remember how much they really charged me up front. But I do know that I had to pay for my books. They were my publisher, and I had to pay for my books. It was kind of a print-on-demand company, and they published my first book, Cheating in the Next Room. And then by the time I got to the United States, I was actually doing pretty well with the book. Because by the time I got to the United States, um, Urban Books was interested in the book. I had actually sold a few copies. I actually wound up republishing the book with another company. And I'm never going to mention that person's name because I will never publish with that person again. But it was a lady, so I don't want you to think it was anybody who had to do Urban Books because I'm not throwing dirt on their name. But eventually I did publish with Urban Books later on. And my next few books were under their imprint, Urban Soul. And
So
then
is that considered like almost traditional? Because
right,
that's
right.
more traditional. Okay.
Yeah, Urban Soul was traditional. I actually got an advance from them. It wasn't a huge advance, but I did get an advance from them, and I didn't have to pay them any money up front. But the problem was, you hear a lot of authors say that they want to be traditionally published.
Oh yeah, that's the
And I
mecca.
think,
Oh.
right. But what they don't realize is that you don't have as much control over your books as you think you do.
Right.
If they give you a deadline, you have to go by that deadline. One time, Carl Weber said he needed my book by December 31st. So guess what I was doing on New Year's Eve? I wasn't drinking champagne. I was finishing my book so I could get it to him on December 31st.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's one thing that people don't realize. Another thing that people don't realize is that you don't own your book cover. When I first published with Jada Press, they had created a book cover for me and it was hot. It was a great cover. But then when I decided to go with this other company that I don't want to name, I had to have the cover redone because they own that cover.
Yes.
And then when I published with Urban and they did a cover, it wasn't a bad cover. It wasn't an unattractive cover. I didn't think that it fully represented the story.
Right.
But I didn't have power over that choice.
Right.
Cover that they needed.
Right.
These are some things that people have to think about when they decide that they want to go traditionally published.
Right.
Now, on the other hand, if you choose to be self-published, there are certain things you have to think about there. You are paying for every step in the process.
Right.
And people don't think about that. They don't think about, okay, I don't want to go through Amazon. I don't want other people to have control over my book. I don't want to have to pay other people. Okay, that might be all well and good. But
right.
Do you have to go to the post office every time somebody orders one of your books? I know I don't. I still have a full-time job. And I don't even go to the post office to mail my bills. I thank God for technology.
Thank God.
Yeah. So I mean, I tell people all the time, whether you want to be traditionally published or self-published, it really depends on you. It really depends on what you have time for. It depends on what sacrifices you want to make. Because each of the options have their good points and their bad points. But you really have to look at what do you have time for? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to give up? And then make that decision based on you, not based on what you think somebody else is doing.
Exactly. And then, of course, even if you take it to the next level, because we all know once we have done it, I said that a couple weeks ago when I went live. Once you do it, then somebody says, "Oh, you're going to do that for me automatically. You're going to help me do it. You're going to." Now, the reason why I said yes was somebody said they were going to pay me, and then that got my attention. But other people was like, "Just do that for me. Just do that for me," and they were, besides picking the brain, they were trying to take advantage of my skills because I've already done it. There's the book sitting on the table. I wanted you to pay for the $10 or $15 book. But now they want me to do it for somebody else. And so, it took me a minute. I said quite a few no's. Quite a few no. And that's what I tell even people who have discovery calls with me today. I now am interviewing you to determine where you are. I'm not really trying to dig down in your business, but I need to know, do you even have time for a book? Do you even have time to dedicate to a book? Because just like I have to make time for the publishing business, you have to make sure that you make time for the book business. So that's my second tip. It all depends on where you are in your life. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I have told many people, let's get through this PhD dissertation. After you get that, then we'll be ready for the book. Because the time that it's taking for that, and people are like, I can't believe you said that. Yes. Because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to work with somebody and it's the wrong time. It's out of season. It's out of time. They're moving. They're relocating. They're having a newborn baby. No. It's business is important, yes, but it has to be a two-way street. It has to be reciprocal. It's got to make sure that it makes sense for them as well. And that's something else I've also told people about the traditional route is that you have to know what the contract says. You have to know what your rights are and what you're giving up. And even if they do pay you in advance, you gave up the ability to control what the cover looked like. So that's payment to me. When I give you a manuscript and they were like, payment, I'm not paying because I want to be traditionally published. I want them to pay me. But boo, you paid with your manuscript. They never think about that. And
they don't, they also don't think about. Oh, no, I was just going to say, they also don't think about that. It's great to get in advance, but you're not getting a royalty payment until your book sales pay that.
Yes, ma'am.
And advance is not, it says it's a.
You got to recoup. You got to recoup make sure that they make the royalty. Yes. They got to make the recoupment, the advance back before you get any royalties. So think about that too. Think about where you are in the process, who else is with that company and all that. So that's just some things to really think about for those of you who are tuning in, who are just still thinking about, well, let's talk about this publishing thing. What are my options? And I wanted to at least delve down just a little bit because I know we're getting ready to take a turn to really talk about if somebody's asking you to publish, if somebody's asking you, can you help me with my book? There's some things you really need to think about there too as well. So one of the things I'm going to start by saying one thing, if anybody's going to help anybody, and I've known people who hadn't written a book, who was trying to help people with books, really think about it. I'm not telling you what to do because you're grown up and all that good stuff, but I would have a hard time publishing with anybody who's never written a book. They have not gone through the process themselves. So I know that publishing is a business. It is profitable. Otherwise, you go out of business. And we've known some large publishing houses who have gone out of business. So that is possible to do. And it is lucrative, and it can be if you know what you're doing. But first off, you need to make sure that you're working with somebody who's not just in the business of making money, but understands the actual book business. So some people, I've been asked often, so I can self-publish. Why do I need you? And I said, well, because of my nearly 17 years of experience. So I can help with placement. I can help you say that cover's not going to do it. I've been on tons of groups. They didn't pay me to give them advice, but I could look 2 seconds and look at the cover and tell you, I don't even know what's inside. But I know that what you said on the title and what that cover is doing doesn't even match. That's what you want. Even if you're going to self-publish, You know, you need one of these ladies to help you, guide you through the process, even if you're going to self-publish. So one, make sure that you're working with somebody who's actually been through the process, not worked on, but actually been through actually the process itself. And then make sure you're dealing with somebody who's a reader. They don't have to be, have a PhD in English, but they need to be a reader. They need to be a student of the industry itself. They need to be able to keep up with what's going on in the industry. That's just my first two nuggets. I got tons more. As I say, I got 17 years and more. But Vanessa, what are two things before you consider taking on a new client, or two things before you even consider going down this publishing road, whether you're looking for a publisher or whether somebody's asking you to help them with their book?
Well, when you first start out, of course, at least for me, I said no to money for a couple of years. When people would ask, because when you first publish a book, and this is what I tell my authors all the time, is that the number one question you are asked when you publish a book is not about your book. It's frustrating as all heck. You're standing there, you're at this vendor event, you got your book table set out, and here are your babies, right? And you're ready to introduce your babies to the world. They walk up to your table, they pick up your baby, and they basically tell you your baby is cute. Okay. So they say, this book, I really like this book, or this sounds really good. And the next thing out of their mouths, 75% of the time, is, I've always wanted to write a book. Can you help me? And how you answer that question is going to determine how much money you leave on the table. So I tell people, if you are looking to build a business, if you are looking to expand, learn how to answer that question properly. Prepare yourself to answer that question properly, which means don't allow people to pick your brain for free. If you want to answer that question properly, then get a coach, find a program that will help you publish other people. Because just because you stumble through publishing your book, publishing your one book, and you stumble through that, it doesn't necessarily mean, like Julia said, that you are qualified to help someone else. And listen, when it comes to book babies, we all know, when it comes to book babies and people that paid you money, they want you to be on top of stuff. They're not trying to hear your excuses that, I ain't never did this before, and you're just going to have to be patient with me. They're not trying to hear that. So prepare yourself to answer that question properly. Publish some books, okay? Publish some books. If you want to be a publisher, if you want to help people in this process, then you got to do the process. This is not a spectator sport. You can watch YouTube videos all day long, but until you upload one of them, those full bleed books to KDP, and it tells you that you got errors and it's not going to correct it, and you trying to figure out where the little invisible thing is, until you start going through that process, you're not going to be able to help anybody.
Yeah.
But the help is out there.
Yeah.
Get some help.
Yeah.
And then answer that question properly and stop leaving all that money on the table.
Dr. Rhonda, before you take on a client, before you take anybody else, what did you do?
Well, I co-signed everything Miss Vanessa said. I think the other part is because I have people who say that same thing to me. I've always wanted to write a book. One thing I ask them is, are they ready to write a book? So when the first thing they ask, I've always wanted to write a book. What do you want to write about? My life. Okay. Are you writing that book for yourself, or are you writing that book for other people? If you're writing the book for yourself, that's great, but don't expect to make a lot of money on it. If you want to write that book for other people, you've got to have a message. You can't start from when you were a baby all the way until present day, because people don't care. And I hate to say it, and you might be a great person, you might be a fun person, but nobody cares about your story. They care about your message. Even if you read Kevin Hart's book, Bernie Mac's book, and all these other people, they had a message within their book. And that's why they can write so many biographies, because they had a specific message that they wanted to tell with their story. And they stuck to the parts of their life that dealt with that message. So what message do you want to give the people? And if you're not ready to come up with that message, then you're probably not ready to write a book. So that's one thing I normally ask them. And the other part is, are they ready to put in the time? I do book coaching. And when I have my courses, sometimes people say, I don't want to do all of that. Can you just do it for me? Yeah, I do ghostwriting too. But ghostwriting is not cheap. So
No.
yeah, you might pay a few $1,000s or so to me, or you can try to save it and say you're going to write it yourself, but you're going to spend more money in editing and spend more money in formatting and so forth. So that's another thing that I was talking about before. You have to balance and know what's right for you. So if you are ready to put in the time to writing your book and writing it well, I want to work with you. If you're
Yeah.
ready to actually invest in your baby, because your book is your baby and your baby is going to be your business, if you're ready to invest in all of that, then I want to work with you. But I'm not going to do it for you for free because you gave me a sob story. Because what happens is I go broke, I lose my sanity. I'm up all night trying to help you achieve your dream and trying to help you get $1 million, but I don't get anything out of it.
No,
So
no,
I
no.
guess, yeah, that's one thing
Yeah.
I always
Well,
ask people: are you ready?
are you ready? And that does make a difference, because you as the publisher needs to be ready, and then the author has
Mhm.
to be ready. We have to be ready at the same time. And Vanessa and I have learned that, it's different if you're in the jewelry industry. Like, you go to an event and they got jewelry already, people just picking it up and going. They're going. But when it comes to so this is a key for those of you who are wanting to publish. You may find a few people right away who are ready now, but when they're picking up that jewelry, they say, how minutes for these things I got in my hand? They say $50. They give them the $50. We're done. The transaction is quick and swift. In the publishing world, the transaction may not be that swift. It may take 6 months. It may take a year. It may take, like me, I've had some people, I don't delete emails. So I'm not big unless it's just junk mail. And so, therefore, anybody who's ever contacted me, I pretty much have a tracking of who and where. And so, I recently had somebody say, now I'm ready. But my initial email to them was in 2017. Right. So if I didn't have other activities going on and I just relied on that sale right there from that person, I'd be dead and my lights would be off and I'd be on the street, because I have to continue to move. So you got to understand, in the publishing and literary world, the time and the sales cycle is long. It's not like picking up jewelry or, oh, these body butters. What flavors you got? Here we go. Here we go. No, it's a process, it's a journey, it's a long, extensive journey. And because books are, if they're done well, like Dr. Rhonda says, if it's done well, it's evergreen. So you can pass it on. It's intellectual property that you're going to be passing on to the next generation. My attorneys told me when I had 3 clients pass away. He said, always remind your authors that books are intellectual property. That's like your house, that's like your car, that's like your bank account. So put intellectual property in that too as well. So as a publisher, you need to know that is long term. So just slopping a few words together and putting it up there, no. You want to take care that you're actually doing that. So if you've gone through that painstaking process, step by step by step by step, then okay, this is the long haul. This is the long game. This is not jewelry on a table and I like these stones and I like that jewelry and, oh, it's 3 for 10. No, this is not a 3 for 10. This is not a 3 for 25. This is not what this is all about. It is the long game itself. And so I'm going to move on to like mistakes I've made. I left when I first agreed to have my first client. One of the things that was really key to it is I had only published a book of poetry and I think one book, a devotional. So I was really in the devotional, inspirational space. Okay. So being in that space, that's really kind of where I wanted to stay. So my first book that I published of somebody else's, big shout out to Miss Cheryl Turner. Her book was also a book of poetry. So even though I didn't charge hardly anything, I didn't, because I hadn't done it enough and I'd only published one book. I didn't feel like I had the expertise to charge enough. I stayed within my particular first beginnings genre because I had done a poetry book. My first book that I published of someone else's was poetry. So therefore, even though I was a little wobbly, a little shaky, because I was real nervous, because when you tell me you're going to pay me for something, I get real serious about it. It's going to be one of those things that, I at least started in something that I had actually done before. So I guess the first mistake was charging so low, but it was a learning curve and it was a learning experience for me. I had a little one sheet agreement. She signed it, I signed it, but I don't think that thing was legally binding. I don't it was binding because she paid me what I charged her and I delivered a book. That was the primary thing. But over time, I've learned and grown the business of it. So I'm with Vanessa. You need to get a coach, a mentor, pay for one session, get in a coaching program, get in a course, take a course. I have online courses, so you can learn anytime you want to. You don't even have to be in communication. You can do it at your own pace and then schedule a time to talk later. But the thing about it is you must learn about the business. You must continue to grow. I'm going to let you in on a little inside secret. Vanessa Collins and I used to have early morning, because that's when I still taught school. We would have 9 a.m. Her babies was still asleep. Her husband be still asleep. Brian was definitely still asleep because he had worked all night. We would be on Skype. We didn't have Zoom then. We would Skype.
Fuse meeting.
Fuse meeting. And then we would be on Skype. And then we would have a Google Doc up that we would have shared to each other. And then we would make notes. Everybody needs, if you're going to be in this publishing game, if you're going to be in business, period, you need to find somebody that you trust enough to work together so you build each other up. You got to find somebody. Now, I'm not going to pick your somebody. God picked my somebody, because I was at Vanessa's church singing, thinking I was going to sell CDs, a few books, but I was going to sell music CDs. I sang, I did my part. But when it was all over, the second time I came to the same church, she was moving 15 minutes from me. And so I knew that was a divine connection for us to work together. So, that God picked my person. I don't know who's going to pick your person, but I know God picked my person. And we used to get up in the morning and exchange on Saturday morning. We set a time, everybody be quiet. I close my door and we will be working on our businesses at the time. So not having that, I don't know where I'd be. I'd probably be already out of business and still in the classroom somewhere, fighting with other people's children, and they still cuss me out and trying to break up fights. But because of that, it enabled me to be able to move forward with my business. So what has been a couple of mistakes that you did? Only 2. We don't get to tell all of them because we got to move on to some other things. What would be, and even if you don't feel like you've made them, but there have been mistakes that you've seen other people make.
I'll jump in there. One of the biggest mistakes I've made early, and this is a key I would give to any person that is in this publishing business, make sure you take a look at the manuscript before you give a final price, because everybody thinks their manuscript is more ready than what it is. I remember the very first time I talked with someone and they said They had written their stuff and it was ready to go. You know, it just they needed to type it up, but they had it ready to go. And so I quoted them a price on a completed manuscript that I was going to walk them through the publishing process. I didn't quote them walking them through the writing process. Just because your clients have gobs of journals full of stuff does not mean they have a manuscript. So make sure you take a look at the manuscript. I had one author send me 46 notepad documents. Yeah, I said notepad. I didn't say WordPad. I didn't say Microsoft Word. Notepad. I had another author send me a manuscript. It was one long paragraph. It was like 32 pages. There was no paragraph breaks anywhere. That manuscript needed work in the writing coaching. She wasn't ready for publishing. So you got to make sure you take a look at these manuscripts before you give a final price. So when you're in that discovery call, you can tell them, you know, my prices start here based on where your manuscript is. The second mistake was not charging my worth early enough. And that one, I ended up having to get a coach. I got a sales coach, paid, think it was the first time I had a real coach, $1,200 coach. I was like, oh my gosh, I had never paid that much for a coach. And the very first thing he told me was to double my prices. Because I thought that if I charge less, if all these other people are charging $1,000, you know, off the house and all of them at that time, they were charging $997, $1497. Well, if I charge $497,
Yep.
I'm gonna get a bunch of people because
Yeah.
everybody else is charging this big amount.
Nope.
Didn't work that way.
Nope.
And when he told me to the very first assignment was double my prices, I called Julia. Julia, we gotta double our prices.
I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Oh no. But he was right. He was right. He was definitely right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it is easier to sell a higher ticket quality product or package than it is to sell a discount package where you're not charging enough to do the stuff that you need to do or to do it with joy.
Right.
And if you're charging somebody under $1,000 to publish their book, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah, you're not gonna be happy. And the part I forgot, and yeah, we did have that conversation, Vanessa, is that people can go on Author House and Ex Libris and all that and see what they charge. And I charged so low, I think I was down to $397 then, $497. My first one I think was like two something.
Yeah, my first one was $249.
$297. So and I lost literally 10 to 15 people who said, oh no, your prices is just too low. And I'm like, what? Who does that? So therefore, that was a red flag for other
The problem with charging a small amount, because when I started my company, my company started off as a publicity company, and there are a few things wrong with charging so low, because I did the same thing. I was like, I'm just moving back to the United States. People don't really know me. I'm just going to charge a low amount so that way people can see what I do. And then I'll tell them I'll charge a higher amount later. But the problem with that, number one, is that people don't appreciate it. Yeah. You'll charge a little bit of money thinking that you're doing something for somebody, and they don't appreciate it. They will abuse you for that little bit of money. And then my prices were so low when I first started my company that when they paid me, I paid one bill and I'm broke for the rest of the month. Yeah. And I still had a whole bunch of work I had to do for these people. So right. I was basically working for slave wages. So I had to put a stop to that very quickly. But the other problem, what that shows you, the other part of it too, is you do all of this work and you're not getting paid your worth. And like I said, people don't appreciate it. And then the other part is if you charge so low, people equate that with not affordable. They equate it with being cheap. And this
Mhm.
is the reason why people will bypass you if your prices are too low, because they think of you as discount. They think of you as, well, it's not worth it, or they think of you as desperate,
Yeah, and
and you
not
don't
high
want to be
quality
thought.
either. Yeah.
Exactly, and not high quality. Think about it. I live in a beautiful home in this area. If they had offered me this same house for, let's say, $50,000 or even $100,000 in this area, I would have been like, what's wrong with it? I'm
Mhm.
not I wouldn't have even looked at the house because it was only $50,000 or
Right.
only $100,000. And I'm not bragging or anything, but I live in Maryland. These doggone houses are expensive. I could be living next to Tyler Perry if this same house was in Georgia. That's
Oh yeah. Well, you have to do the cost of living, too. You got to
yeah,
consider
that's
all of that. I mean,
Yeah, that's
where
why
you
I'm
at,
saying I'm
no.
not bragging or anything, and I'm not telling y'all I'm rich. I'm
Right.
just making a point that when you pay a little bit for something, you don't appreciate it as much.
Yeah.
But when you pay a lot for something, people appreciate it more. And I learned that one client asked me to the first time I had a client who just sent me the money, and I was so excited. He said, "How much do you charge for editing?" I gave him my price. He said, "How you want me to send it to you?" He sent it to me like 5 minutes later. I told her, I said, "You can just pay a deposit now. When we finish, you'll pay the rest of it." He sent me that deposit before we even finished chatting. I
Mhm.
said, "That's the kind of clients I want."
Right.
And
Right.
so but in order to get those types of clients, and this is a lesson I had to learn, is I have to inspire confidence. I can't come into this conversation being scared to give you my price, not being forthright with what I'm going to give you for that
Yeah.
price,
Right.
not having confidence in my abilities and my skills. Because if I do that, I'm not going to inspire confidence in you. You're
Right.
not going to want to pay me a premium price if I'm not giving you a premium answer to your questions.
Right.
So what I suggest to anybody who wants to get into the publishing business is, one, just like what Julia and Miss Vanessa said, find somebody who you can partner with, because you're not going to be able to do everything yourself. If you try to do everything yourself to save money, and that's what happens often as solopreneurs, we think we have to do everything ourselves because we can't afford to pay other people. You wear yourself out. You're not going to give people the quality that they deserve because you're exhausted.
Yeah.
So yeah, so one, get surround yourself with people who can help you take some of that burden off you, and you can wind up giving people better quality services.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. The other thing is continue learning. I've been in this business 20 years. It does not mean that I don't have anything new to learn. I'm continuing to go to creative writing classes. I'm continuing to take workshops. I'm continuing to go to retreats, because even if it's something that I heard before, it could be a good reminder to make me make my craft even better.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with reading books. There are some great books out there on writing, and I have a few of them in my Amazon store. If you want information on how to be a better writer, continue to learn. Continue to ask questions. Continue to surround yourself with people so you can give people the quality that you want back for yourself. Because I know you want quality, but you've got
Right.
to give quality.
Yep.
Don't try to rush yourself, and don't try to be like Julia saying, "Okay, I want to write 100 books too." I mean, she wrote 100 books, I can do it. And so now what you're doing is rushing through all those books, trying to make it to Julia's status.
No, don't do it. It took me years to get here. It's taken me years to get here. It's taken me years. You can't
Exactly.
do it
And
all.
that's my point.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's my
it took me
point.
years.
Don't try to do it all. Julia has been doing this for 17 years.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, she has gotten to 100 books in 17 years. She did not get to 100 books in 5 years. Do not try to rush yourself
No. Right.
getting to a point thinking you have to be at a certain status. Even if you've only written 5 books, make sure that they're 5 quality books.
Yeah.
Put the time into your product and don't rush yourself. And
Right.
then you're going to find yourself giving better quality, and you can get those premium prices that you dream of.
Yeah.
Because Vanessa's correct, that is much easier to sell $1,000 product than $25 products or $50 products, thinking that you're going to make some money.
Yeah.
Don't wear yourself out.
Yeah. Well, another thing too now that's a standard procedure for me now, because I remember when she got all them note cards, she called me and said, "Girl, guess what I got?" I know, Lord. I remember that. So the thing about it is now it's standard procedure for me now that I don't give you a quote until I see the manuscript. But I also provide you a privacy statement, which is my guarantee that everything's going to be kept in confidence. I'm not doing anything with your manuscript until we have a contract, but I still have to see it. I've seen manuscripts where there's 36 font and it was double space. And when then I got it down to 12 or 14, I didn't even really have enough words. We, like Vanessa, we had to go back to the writing process. We had to go back and revisit what it had. Or people just send me a whole, just an essay, no chapters, no,
Right.
no, yeah. And I have a whole guide. How we gonna get started? Here you go. You download it and it tells you word, but and or they send me screenshots. Okay, that's a good sample, but I can't publish screenshots. I need something that I can and manipulate. So if this is more than a notion. I know that Vanessa and I, Dr. Rondo, we make it look, as I say, we make it look sexy, we make it look easy. It may look like that, but this is work. This is WORK work. This is the getting up early. This is the staying up late. This is meeting deadlines. This is meeting timelines. This is
keeping in mind, I still have a full-time job. The reason why I was in my car is I had just walked out of my job and jumped on this call. That's a sacrifice that you have to make if you want to have your own publishing business, or if you want to be an author, or anything it is that you want to do. You've got to be able to give up something to get what it is that you want.
Yeah. Well, I've only been full-time the last 6 years. So June, I'll only be full-time 6. So if I've been doing this nearly 17 years, that 10 or 11, I was. Hello, welcome to BK Royston Publishing at 4:05 when I was in my car riding 45 minutes home, or going live on Periscope in the morning, 7 o'clock. I heard one person say, "Oh, you that lady who's in her car?" Yep, I'm that lady who was in her car before Periscope went out and the trolls was calling me out my name, and it was a whole vibe. But now, thankfully, I kept learning and I correct mistakes. I make changes. I do that readily and easily. But now I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me.
Amen.
I ask you those questions more now than even with then, because I didn't know the questions to ask.
Yeah, don't let yourself be abused. I think sometimes because we want that client so badly. I one time I had a client when this was fully a publicity business. This client was so bad. He had paid me in advance for 6 months. I gave him his money back. I said, "I'm not the right person for you." I was not about to let this boy abuse me for the next 6 months just so I could say I had a client, or just so I could say I had the money.
Right. I've done that. Of course, my husband, he went through the roof, and Vanessa's like, "You can't keep doing that, girl." I'm like, "Listen, I need my sanity. I need my mind. I need to be able to think. I can't keep, I can't." So you have to determine who you are as a person, and how much time do you have, and how much energy do you have, and how much thought processes can you give it. And I mean, whether you're writing, whether you're going to help somebody else, and you really enjoy that process, but you're going to have to put some limits. You're going to have to put some boundaries. You're going to have to put some borders around. Okay, so before we get run out of time, let me see who's on. Yay! 100 books. Yeah, I know. Keisha. Hey, love, how are you? Hey, Erica. Oh, gosh. Yeah, 100. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Peggy. Let's see. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead and put them in. I'm non-credible. I paid $39 for 8 pages of non. Yeah, those ebooks, they'll get you, because there's not a paid page count limit on that. Yeah, Impossible Password. Yeah. Put the time. Hey, Miss Ross, how you doing, love? Hello. Hi, Miss Yvette. How you doing? So, any questions you have for any of us, because we could be here all night, but I wanted to at least stop and make time for if any of you have questions, even if you're looking for a publisher or you're wanting to, if people have asked you over and over again about helping them with your book, go slow. Go slow. Be very, very careful of the things that you do. If you need guidance, we're here for you. Let me put everybody's information. Here's Vanessa's. Reach out to her website while you're thinking about your question. I told y'all to bring questions tonight. I had people with answers. And then Dr. Rhonda Lawson, here's her information, her website. Question? Is there a question? You're welcome. You're welcome. You're definitely welcome. But the other thing too is let's get down there, because I know Vanessa and I, we talked about the AI process. So have you published anybody who's told you the whole book is AI?
I have not gone through that yet.
You haven't gone through that, Vanessa?
Not yet. I'm gonna do it first. I'm gonna do it first and see.
And then
it won't be totally AI, but
yeah. Well,
so
as far
here's
as the word, go ahead.
So one of the things that, and this is kind of looking forward in terms of the writing and publishing, if you guys are not on top of what is happening with AI, you need to get on top of it. You need to understand this. Imagine this is back in whatever year it was when anybody remember having that first mobile phone that was like in a whole case and you had like a shoulder strap.
Yeah, I remember.
Imagine somebody walking up to you, showing you an iPhone and telling you, this is the future. Some of us with that phone on our shoulder would said, oh no, I'm not even worried about that. Listen, it is here. Understand what this means, not just for publishing, but for writing in general. Now, Julia, I did something today, just kind of checking it out. And we can do this offline. We can do this kind of after the session. But I was curious with the new ChatGPT 4.0. If you have not checked it out, go on OpenAI's website, look at it, see what it is capable of. We are in a brand new day. We're absolutely in a brand new day.
Yep.
So I asked ChatGPT to look at one of your books, Julia. It was one that you had just published in October.
Where'd she go? Oh, hold on.
She disappeared because she about to tell people they can write their book with AI.
Oh Lord. You can't.
Okay. Let me back up. So you can write a book with AI. Should you? I'll say yes and no. I do not. AI is just what it is. It's open source. So when you decide that you want to write a book and you want AI to write that entire book for you, it'll do it. But the average reader is going to know that it's AI. You've got to make sure that if you are going to use AI, and it does have its place, and I might even do a live one of these days to talk about ways you can use AI and still preserve your integrity as an author. Yeah. I would just say be careful with it. You do not want to pass off anything as your own. And you've actually used AI. Right now, I have news updates that come on my phone, and I can tell when they're AI sourced.
Right. Well, and right now, KDP is like, where'd you get it? Did you use any AI for any parts of it? And Erica, I highly agree. And Erica says it can help you use with writing ideas. But let me just tell you,
I use it for that.
Yeah, but the things we saw recently, like the things that just rolled out that Vanessa was just getting ready to tell us about, it really kind of changes the game because you can program it to be you. It can go into your voice, and you're not losing your voice like the early stuff that came out. Yeah, we knew it. But now it is, it was gonna grow. It was like, we're gonna be we're feeding the beast. So it was going to grow and evolve because, of course, that was a part of the problem. But now we can feed it and it sounds like us. It uses our terminology. And they're getting better with the images. Because when you first came out with some of the software AI, you would have to have a multiplicity of images. Now it's keeping the same image. It has the capability of doing that. So it's taking it to a whole nother level. So I'm a purist. I get that every day, all day long. But I have to admit, I've dived into the AI space.
So I'm not talking about it just from a writing standpoint. And of course, I hit the wrong button and kicked myself out. So I apologize for that. But just understand as a content creator, that the protections that we are used to in terms of, copyright protection and all of that, so nobody, of course, can take your book and publish it as their own. But with the way AI is now, they can take your book and create things from it based on your book. There are several lawsuits out there. So keep an eye on that, just from the publishing standpoint, just so that you understand kind of where we are, because we're in a new place right now when it comes to the publishing and literary stuff. We're in a new space.
So it's something to definitely keep your eye out on. I still say, even if you had AI write your whole book, you still got to sell it. It hadn't got that good yet. It's gotten to maybe writing, giving you ideas, giving you top 10 reasons why.
Well, I'm going to say this. If you have AI write your entire book and you send it to me for editing, just know that it's going to look like I laid on it and bled when you see all the red that you get back.
Well, and that is one of those things that I haven't even put out there yet. But everybody who's going to either work with people in the literary world, you got to have your own. I mentioned it a little bit, but your own boundaries and your own limits. Like there are some publishers, there's some literary. I could have, when I first started, said I'll only publish poetry because that's all what in my comfort zone. I do know whole publishing companies. That's all they do is publish poetry. They don't publish anything else. No fiction, no children's books, no nonfiction, no devotionals. They do nothing but poetry. So therefore, you have to decide what you're comfortable with. What I did, I loved the writing process, as you can tell, with 100 books. So therefore, I said, ooh, wonder what fiction would be like. Me and Vanessa, we went through the NaNoWrite process. And I had Jillian, my second fiction book, because I had done one before. But I didn't want to publish anybody else's fiction until I'd actually done it. I didn't want to publish anybody else's children's book until I fought with that full bleed. Oh, Jesus, that was until I got it down to a science, and now it's a template. Now I don't even think none. I put a children's book together in about an hour. So, but it took time for me to be able to do that. So I have to, and you have to, Dr. Rhonda does, and Vanessa does, has to determine what we will do and what we won't do. Some books I review, some manuscripts, and it may be a whole manuscript. But I tell people, your name is on the front, but my logo is still on the back. And I may be referenced in the copyright in the inside. So unless I'm comfortable with that on that level, I won't do it. And I will say no. Now I don't do advances. I'm not a traditional house, but because it is BK Royston Publishing, my last name's Royston, and Royston is in it, I have to be able to stand behind it and stand by it. Now, Royal Media, that's a totally different brand. That has a totally different audience. That's a totally different genres. That does something totally different than what BK Royston Publishing does. So therefore, you've got to determine and understand what your limits are, what your boundaries are, and what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do in the literary space. But understanding what that is and determining, because I didn't think I would have a second publishing company. I really didn't. But then I kept leaving money on the table. And I'm thinking, okay, that's a totally different brand. It does a totally different thing. God, can I do it? And he said, go for it. But I'm still picky of what I'll do over there. I'm still,
Mhm.
you know, as to my heart, I have 2 masters in library science. I'm still a curator. Because in my libraries, I had to determine the goals, the objective, the vision for my library, and what would go on the shelf and what would not go on the shelf. Sure, I had district rules and all that. So the same thing is with your, whether it's literary services where you only do parts of it, or whether you're a full service publishing company or just a writing coach, whatever level you're wanting to be in, you got to determine what's your vision, what's the goals, what's the mission, what will I work with, and what will I not work? Who will I work with? And some people's vibe, you know, oh no, I can't do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. My spirit and theirs don't mesh. My work ethic and theirs, we don't connect. And sometimes I'll fight. I can fight through the one, but we probably won't work together again. It may be what me and my husband call, is that a one and done? I said, yeah, baby, that's a one and done. Because sometimes it's just doesn't work out. And they need to be referred to somebody else. And they made to do something for somebody else. But I've been looking at it really closely. The purist in me was like, no, but now it's advanced. So I saw it when it first came out. Because, my husband, Brian, 32 years in IT. So him and Vanessa, they have a field day. They get me in the group chat, and I'm like, oh Lord, what else they done figured out? Something else I gotta learn. But over time, it looks different.
Just something to keep your eye on. But Julia, you mentioned something that I think is really key. Understanding your limitations. That is how my coaching business started, because someone came to me with their book. It was a fiction book that was loosely based on their life. It was inspirational and all of that, but it was spicy. And I was like, at that early juncture under, Hard Thoughts Publishing, I had always said I would never publish a book that I would not allow my 15-year-old daughter to read. And when I read that book, I was like, I can't publish this under my brand, but I can show you how to do it. And she became my first coaching client.
Right.
So, just look for, when those things come up, don't feel like, you have to compromise. Don't compromise on your stand, but also look for the opportunity in it. And that opened up my coaching business is way bigger than my publishing business. So where, Julia has done 121 books in these last 15, 16 years. I've only done 8, but I have coached probably 200 or 300 authors.
Right.
And I have coached publishers.
Right.
So determine what you want to do and look for the opportunities.
Yeah, because it just all depends. As I said, my friends tease me about being the queen of publishing. And so I do it. I just have a whole lot of people. I mean, them 122, them just mine. That's not the other people that I published. And I do some coaching, and I definitely do that. But more than anything else, I know what my limit is. I know where, after nearly 17 years, I know the space I need to be in. Now, Dr. Rhonda and I we'll have to get on another time and talk about this promotion, because that's a soapbox of mine. Authors that don't want to promote their own books.
They think they're too good to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Dr. Rhonda, I got to connect with you, because I got all these authors. Oh my goodness. Everybody thinks that somebody else is going to promote their books.
Yes.
And they don't.
Yeah, they subscribe to the belief, if you write it, they will come. But if you write your book and you don't tell anybody that you've written it, how do they know? Or you get mad at your family for not supporting your book. They bought your book when you first published it. What, they supposed to keep buying it?
Yeah.
So and unfortunately, we don't know how to promote, and we think that everything should be free. And then we join these writers groups where a bunch of authors who haven't really sold a whole lot of books, but they'll still tell you that they're best-selling authors, will tell you that they shouldn't have to pay to promote. They
Yeah.
shouldn't have to pay for being on somebody's podcast. Yeah, I offer my show for free,
Yeah.
but I only offer my show for free because I have optional paid services. So really, my show is more like the
Lead
beginning of a
generation.
funnel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. It's a
generation.
lead
I love it.
generator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some, but there are people out there who are not using their shows as lead generators. They're using it because they've built an audience
Yeah.
and they are putting you in front of their audience.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why they charge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Pay to
and
play.
they're
You
not
gotta
just,
be
they're
real.
not just interviewing you and then that's the end of it.
No.
They're interviewing you and then they're promoting, they're continuing to promote you.
Yeah.
They're making graphics to promote you.
Yeah.
They're putting you on different platforms. They're
Yes.
putting you in front of people that you probably would have never met before.
Never
Yeah.
seen. Never seen.
Right. And then so it's kind of insulting to them when you say that you don't want to pay them
Yeah.
for what they're doing for you.
But anyway, if you did it yourself and built it yourself, and you don't do graphics, you would have to do that, and would
Mhm.
have to run ads. And if they already
Mhm.
have 4 or 5 people, and then pay other people to share to other platforms, or if people just freely share to other platforms, and I'm grateful and I appreciate all the support I've gotten over the years. People just share my stuff and I make sure that I get in the comments and say thank you. I appreciate your share. Thank you so much for sharing, because because you're getting on. They don't have to, is what I mean to say. And then you can get on in
Right.
eyes, but they didn't buy nothing. Yeah, baby, but it takes 14 to 20 touches and eyes
Right.
before they even know they need it. And then you don't want to
Right.
tell them why
And
you
you
wrote
make
it.
you make a great point there too, is that sometimes we as authors think that we're supposed to make a sale right then and there.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that sometimes a buyer may not even have the money right at that moment, but it doesn't mean that they're not interested in your book.
Right.
But when you roll your eyes and go on to the next one, they'll remember that and they won't buy your book the next time.
No,
But if you say, all right, well, you know what, here's a flyer, or
Right.
here's
my
a
card.
bookmark.
Here's a
Yeah, or take
brochure.
my card.
Yeah.
Or if you really feeling froggy, well, here, take the book anyway and just leave me a review. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying do that all the time, but every once in a while,
Yes.
do that.
Well,
And
I do it with
listen-
book clubs, especially with my fiction, because it's very
Yes.
hard. I give the first one free because I've seen the benefits of it. I've given one, and then all the book club buys it, and then they want the book 2, then they want the book 3. So no, it's been a win-win for me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Be nice to people because they remember that.
Yes, they do.
They remember, oh, I met this author one time. She was so nice. Let me go ahead and buy her book since I'm looking at it. and then when you've written that one book so well and they've bought that book, now they want your back catalog.
Yeah.
They want to read everything else that you've written. I've had quite a few people who read one book and they went back and bought the other books because they liked the one book.
Right.
So think about the long sale. Sometimes when I go to the National Black Book Festival,
Yeah.
I make a few sales there, but a lot of times I don't make a lot of sales right at that moment. However, because I went there and because I'm social to people when I go there, and you see me over there, Julia, you know.
You next
Yeah.
to each other. You on one end, interviewing everybody, and I'm on the other end. Yeah. I mean, we're
Yes.
together.
Because of that, I have gotten guests on my show.
Yeah.
I have had authors sign up for my Black History Month Literary Weekend.
Right.
I have had authors who have bought some of my other services. So don't think about selling that one book. I think you mentioned that earlier. It's like when you buying jewelry or shea butters. That's something sometimes you buy right in the moment.
Yeah.
But services are not always bought in the moment.
No.
So it's about building relationships.
Yeah.
And it's about showing yourself as a quality person
Yeah.
and a quality business owner. And then you're going to wind up making those sales later. I have made so many residual sales just because of one specific event.
Yep.
So yeah, it's nice that somebody's going to buy a $15 book. maybe a $20 book. If it's a $25 book, it better be one heck of a book. But but it's nice that they buy that.
Good, exciting or romantic or something.
Yeah, something. But it's better when they come back and get the bigger sales.
Yeah.
When they come back and paying for your coaching services, or they come back and they're investing in your event. There are other ways that you can make sales. Don't think about it as just the in the moment sale.
That's your lead. Sometimes that book is your lead to just get people to know, to be it's like events, and I'm writing a book now on events. Lord have mercy, who knew? That's the 100, the one on my events, vendors and exhibitors wanted. But sometimes that event is your lead for even to know who you are. They may not sell a lot, but your business cards go out, and sometimes it's not the right now, it's the long haul. So I hope that I'm not gonna, because we can talk all night. I'm not gonna thank you all both so much for being my guest. Thank you so much for all the those of you who have tuned in, those of you who are gonna watch it on the replay, check it out on Live Your Best Life on envision-radio.com. I'm everywhere you want to be. Dr. Rhonda Lawson's everywhere you want to be. Be sure and find out everything Ms. Vanessa Collins is doing. She said about 5 businesses, if you were listening earlier.
Yes, she did.
Well, let me give you my link for my free gift, because I do.
Okay, hold on. Let me give you free gift. Okay, hold on.
Right. It is productcreationforauthors.com/workshop. And that will give you a guide on how to create a workshop from your book.
Okay, productcreationforauthors.com/ what's the rest of it?
Workshop. Okay. I'm a huge believer that the book is the new business card. And as Jack Canfield says, the book is the brochure that people buy to see if they want to work with you.
Exactly. Your terms, your vernacular, they should be able to read your book and then meet you, and you be the same person. Now, that is something you have to think about with AI, because you got to remember what you put in there and what was in there.
What the book was about.
Yeah, and of course, if you're an interviewer who interviews people all the time, okay, you said, and you like, what did I say? I don't know. That was somebody else's work. Got to make sure that you know the 3 or 4 tips, and we'll talk about that at a whole another time. Go to productcreationforauthors.com/workshop, and then also go to MTW Image Solutions. I don't know why I want to put another S on there. MTW Image Solutions, put an S right there.com, and get
and don't forget, if you go there, you get the free author success guide. And then I also have another workbook. That workbook is for cost, but I have it's called Right to Win. Yes, it's in my store.
Okay, what's the name of it again? I'm sorry.
It's called Right to Win, the perfect workbook for imperfect writers. Lots of great writing tips in that workbook and some writing exercises. If you just want to be on your own, maybe you don't want to sit through a class, you can read that workbook and get a lot of great tips on writing your book in there. So there's a wealth of information on mtwimagesolutions.com. And I hope to see some of you guys there. Join my list, my email list. I'm sending out updates every week on contests, writing tips, workshops, bookstores, book clubs. I have information going out every week.
Yeah, the Authors Lounge too, to be on.
Yes,
to be interviewed. So be sure and check that out too, as well. Definitely.
Yes, Miss Julia's gonna be on the show in July.
Hey, yeah. Oh, it's gonna be lit. As the kids say, it's gonna be lit. Also, go to Be a Book Business Boss. That's my free download. I told y'all you were going to get all kinds of free information, great quality information, so that you can not only be better writers, so that you can be able to offer your services if you want to get into the literary services world, and be publishers as well. You got to study. It's just 17 years. I'm not done. I'm on people's webinars all the time. I'm doing research all the time. Vanessa and I still send links to each other. Did you see that girl? Did you see that girl? We do it all of the time, and I send stuff out all the time. So you're always a forever student. Because everything changes and all kinds of things are changing. So you'll all be blessed. Hold on, let me see. You got any more comments before we go? Okay, so wait a minute. One question. What someone is looking for a publisher to charge for a book. Okay, this was one thing that Vanessa gave. The pricing of under $1,000 is too low. It should start at the 1,000 up. And I've seen this, and y'all can comment on it real quick. We still, well, he'll just have to edit. But I have seen people that have charged. Now they didn't have a lot. It was just straight publishing. It wasn't like I'm gonna do PR, I'm gonna put you on a tour. And I've seen $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, and it was not extra. It was just a regular. So I do believe that you can price yourself out. Which link is not working? Deborah, which one is not working? Okay, put in the comments which link is not working. We'll double check it. So I do believe that you can price yourself out of the market. I believe that you can do that. One of the things when we got to adjusting the pricing, we started looking what other people charge and seeing where we fit, because there are, and what the services they offer for that, or that $3,000 or that $10,000. Okay, the product creation one, Van, check your link.
Okay.
Make sure and double check and just let me know.
If I may add on that, I don't charge every client the same thing, because different clients need different levels of work. I had a client who needed a lot of editing to her book. And so I had to work the price of editing into the price that I was going to charge her for publishing. But that is a little bit different from another client that I had who had a much shorter book. Her book was a poetry book, and I didn't have to charge her quite as much because there wasn't as much work that needed to be put into the book. So often it's going to depend on the level of work that's needed and the level of services that you're offering for that specific project.
Yeah. So you're going to have to determine, Erica, about comparing what you're going to offer. And then you're right. I have a range. It starts here to go up, but some people are going to need even more. For example, the person with the screenshots, they're going to need it to be typed. So I do offer a service to actually type it. Now, I know that may be out of the ordinary and something people say, well, I just wouldn't do it if I had to have it typed. But I do have somebody who can type it. And, so therefore, that's a different fee. That's an additional fee. And then some people want paperback, hardback, and ebook. So you have to determine what you're offering comparatively for what a level of services you're gonna have. And then you got to understand who your client is. Are they technology savvy or are they not? And some clients, they don't check the email. I've had to actually establish an email address for some clients. Because they're like, oh, child, I'm not even on that thing. I don't know nothing about that thing. I'm not even on there. So it's that sort of thing. Dr. Rhonda is exactly right. You got to look at it. So that's the reason why no pricing until it's looked at. Erica, does that make sense? Okay. Price range 1,000 and up. And you got to, and if if you need help, you know how to find us and you know how to reach out and we'll have a conversation. But yeah.
The numbers I give is usually somewhere between $12.97. I don't think you should be charging anything less than $12.97. Usually will range up to $12.97 to $24.97. Editing is always priced separately. It has to be priced separately because what it costs to edit a 10,000 word manuscript is different from a 50,000 word manuscript. It's going to be different if it's a children's book. It's going to be different based on the writing skill.
Yeah.
So another point, another nugget, if you are the editor, if you are editing, do not give a price for editing until you see the manuscript.
Yeah.
Because some folks are going to give you their rough draft.
Yeah.
as
They won't even read it first.
Girl, they not even
Exactly.
doing it.
I had
They
a
didn't even
client
do
once.
it. They
I had
haven't
a
done
They
a
client.
won't,
spell check.
I
yeah,
had
that's
a
what I'm about to say. They
client
won't
to
even do
tell
a
me
spell check.
exactly, exactly. So that's why you have to see it first. I don't edit personally. I have editors on my
Yeah, I
team,
don't do it either.
so I send
I
them.
actually like to edit, so y'all can put me on your editing team if
I
you
will
want.
add you to
Okay,
the
yeah.
list,
We'll add you
Dr.
to the
Rhonda.
list.
I'm
Yeah,
always
yeah.
looking for a good
Shoot,
edit.
I'm about to go
Always.
edit a manuscript when I finish talking to y'all.
Oh,
No,
I love to find good editors. So
yeah, you got
I got to get with you anyway.
yeah, we gotta do we got two things now, don't we, man? We
Yep.
got two things. Oh Lord, okay, wait a minute, hold on. One more comment. Some ask just for a word. Per word. Deborah, you mean per word? They ask per word. The editing per word. Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
some people will charge. I tell people all the time that it's so good,
Oh,
and this
per
is an editing tip for anybody who's looking for an editor. Um, some editors charge by the word, some charge by the page,
Yeah,
some charge by the hour.
yeah,
But when you at least go through and read your work one good time and then do a spell check, you're going to save yourself a lot of money.
Yep.
Because one, you're reducing the amount of time that editor is going to have to take. Because I'm going to tell you, as an editor, if your book comes to me in such bad shape to where I'm so busy fixing grammar and fixing spelling that I wind up missing not a formatting problem, but a timeline problem, because I'm so busy looking at all these other things that you probably should have seen yourself as you read over it, I'm going to wind up having to charge you more money, because once I've gone through the book and cleaned up the grammar and the spelling and the sentence structure mistakes, I have to go through and make sure that I didn't miss a timeline issue, or I have to make sure that things
developmentally.
make
Yeah, it
sense.
makes sense.
Yeah, I have to do a
Clarity
whole
of it. Yeah,
developmental edit now.
yeah,
So when you read the book yourself, maybe get a friend to read it for you. Get a couple of beta readers, and beta readers can be people that you know. I prefer not to use my family as beta readers. Not that I don't love my family,
no,
but
I'm with you on
my
that.
family's going to think that everything I do is great. I need some
Yeah,
people
no,
who are going to give me some frank advice.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you get a couple of people to read it for you and catch those little mistakes before you send it to the editor, you're going to wind up saving yourself a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because you've reduced your page count, you've probably reduced your word count, and you've reduced the amount
A
of time
whole
it's going
lot
to
of it
take to
comes
edit
up
the
in the
book.
word. When you see something underlined in red, look at that. You see
Yeah.
something underlined in blue, you need to look at that. But hey,
Yes.
they're giving you hints. Word is that advanced. Now, it doesn't do everything because it's not going to tell you some things, but
There are 4 different ways to spell Smith,
right,
and
and
people don't think about that.
there. I mean, so
Yeah.
you at least have to go with the things that are underlined, and if it's you got a proper name, sometimes they miss that because there's all kinds of ways to spell Shaquita and whatever. There's all kinds of ways for that. So look at the things that are under.
Yeah.
I'm
Don't
going to tell
be
you this book right here. This was a client who asked me to read to edit his book, and he appreciated the editing so much that he signed the book and sent me a copy.
Yeah.
So this is what happens when you take time to edit your book. And his book was actually pretty well written when he sent it to me.
Yeah.
There were
Some of them
the
you can
changes
tell.
that I made.
Oh, this is
Huh?
in good shapes. So I tell the editor up front because I read very fast. So I tell them this is in good shape. Okay, yeah, I'm not sending you nothing. Or some of them I tell them, we're gonna have to take a little time, but that I did my best and I got it in better shape than what it came to me. And they were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, no."
I send them straight to the editor.
You take it straight. No.
Well, and that's the thing. So
doing.
you can't be lazy. So authors, you can't be lazy when it comes to your book. Read your book. There's so many tools out there. Word will read your book for you.
Yeah.
Put it in Word, hit the thing while you are folding clothes. Let it read it to you. If something doesn't sound right, then you probably need to go take a look at
it.
it.
Ain't right. It ain't
Publishers,
right.
you have to share this with your authors when they're coming to you. You have to tell them, you have to ask them, have you read your book? I had an author come to me and she said, oh, my book has been edited already and I haven't read it in a year. She sent me that manuscript. I sent it right back. You have to not be afraid as a publisher to tell people this isn't ready.
Yeah.
Because if you put it out there and it's not right, then they're going to be looking at you when somebody comes to them afterwards and say, ooh, who published your book? Who edited your book?
Yeah. And don't be afraid to read it again once it's published. And don't be afraid to fix it. Because I mean, I'll tell you, as good a writer and good an editor as I am, I sometimes find mistakes that I make myself. And I cannot just assume that I'm perfect just because I'm a good editor and a good writer. So I have gone through some of my old books and fixed things so I can re-release it because I want to make sure that I present myself to the world in a quality way. So it's okay. I'm not saying that you're never going to make a mistake and that you should always be perfect. Nobody is perfect. There are going to be people who make mistakes, but just be brave enough to admit that you made a mistake.
That's it.
And fix it.
We got to fix it. Yeah, we got to fix it. We got to make sure it's right and be ready to, I mean, years and years. All right, ladies. I love y'all.
Yes, we've been on here a minute now.
I know. I ain't took my earrings off yet, so we still got, no, I'm joking. My clients go, uh-oh, she's taking her earrings off. It's time to go to bed. Yes, ma'am. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you, ladies, so much for your time and your expertise. Now, y'all know how to find them. Y'all know how to make connections. I have brought you people with expertise. I brought you people with years of experience. You're welcome. You're welcome. I have brought you people who can help you and help you take to the next level. You have to. If you're going to go far, if you can go fast, you can go by yourself. But Dakisha and Vanessa tell me all the time, but if you want to go far, you're going to need some help. You're going to need a coach. You're going to need a guide. And you're going to need somebody else to help you along the way. Now, everything they say, you don't have to do everything they say, but at least you need to have some options. You need another set of eyes to look at what you're looking at so that you can get the advice and make intelligent decisions to take to the next level. Your book is your business. Your book represents you. Take your book to the next level. It will feed you. It will be profitable for you. It will take you in rooms that you never dreamed of. I promise you that. And it will be a testament and your legacy long after you're gone. Take time with it. Be careful with it. Admire it and make sure that you're presenting to the world the message that you want to get out there because somebody's waiting on it. Somebody is going through what you have already been through and they need your help. If that memoir is about your life, but it's designed to help somebody, there's somebody who's either maybe going to get in that or needs to get out of that. So therefore, get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. I'm Dr. Julia Royston. You all be blessed. Thank you, Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Thank you, Ms. Vanessa Collins. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.